Phil Munsey here with Monday Pulpit. I want to talk to you about watch your tone. Remember growing up, your parents would say, hey, watch your tone. As a shepherd, the most important thing that you have, your greatest tool, is your voice. But not just the voice that comes from your throat and mouth, but the voice that you have that came with your calling. I believe this with all of my heart, that if there were 100 churches side by side, if a man of God has his spiritual voice and tone, the sheep will hear it, they will follow after him, and they will never have to compete. Look, think about in the days when Jesus did talk about a shepherd and a sheep knowing the voice. All of these sheep would gather into the big sheep gate, and in the early mornings, as the shepherd would make his sound, the sheep would separate themselves unto their shepherd. So how is your tone? Have you found your voice? What that means is that your vision and your calling and your mandate and your ability to speak it is dead on. I mean, it's on tone. 1 Corinthians 14 tells us that if an instrument is out of tune and it doesn't have that distinct sound, it creates confusion. So actually it's like this. If you can't hear the sound that you're supposed to be in tune with, then your speech will not be very clear, thus you create confusion. So let's work on our tone. Here's a couple of advices that I would give you to do. Number one, make sure your emotional bank account is positive and full when you get behind the pulpit. This week, make sure you get some rest. It's important that emotionally, one of the things I've learned from Pastor Joel Osteen is how he protects his emotions so that when he's behind the pulpit, there is no weariness or any stress in the tone of his voice. Also work on your gestures when you're speaking. Sometimes even myself, I'll notice I'm being positive, but my physical body, I'm raising my voice, and the way that I'm responding outwardly clashes with what I'm trying to say and mean inwardly. And then, of course, lastly, when you pray, when you worship, when you read the Word, you actually find and fine-tune your tone. The Bible says that faith cometh by hearing, and hearing by the Word. Did you know that when you're reading the Word, there's a hearing that comes while you're reading it? In that hearing, you find your voice. When you find your voice, the sheep will find you. All right? So, have a great week this week. And later on this week, I'd like to invite you to sign up for our chat time. This is when we interact with each other. It's a fantastic time. I hope you sign up and do that. I'm looking forward to seeing you next week right here on Monday Pulpit.